Hello and welcome back to the channel. I hope you have had a great month of reading. Thank you for tuning in today. Hope you're doing super well. My name is Dylan. I like to think I'm a wise reading wizard, but quite often I space out and forget what I'm doing. But one thing I don't space out while doing is reading. And this month I did a lot of reading. This is probably my busiest month of reading in my life. I read 10 books. There's a lot of great reads. There was 2 insane reads. And we've got a lot to cover today. So let's dive into the books I read, how I reviewed them. Then we'll go into the new books I got this month and what I plan to read next month. So we started off this month with an absolute 5 out of 5 banger. It was Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff. Also read Empire and the Damned later in the month, and it also was another 5 out of 5. So grouping them in together with my reviews, I've done a lot of videos on these two on my channel because these two are my favorite series of all time. I like book 1 slightly more than book 2 because we get to spend more time with my favorite character, but the high points of book 2 are better than the high points of book 1. And I've put these books as 3 and 4 on my all-time list of favorite reads. So without talking about it too much more, if you want heavy prose, heavy profanity, a really dark world with vampires and an unreliable narrator telling you the story of his life, you have to check out this series. Gabriel de Leon is my favorite character in fantasy, and the world of Elric is one of my favorite worlds in fantasy, and how that J. Kristoff melds his world building into his plot is fantastic. I highly recommend checking out J. Kristoff. Not everyone's going to love him, but if he's your sort of author, you will love him to death. Then going on to my next read of the month, we have Lord of Chaos by Robert Jordan, book 6 of the Wheel of Time. And this one, it probably deserves like a 4 out of 5, but for me it was a 3, just because I'm a little sick of Wheel of Time. I've honestly stopped it now. I got halfway through A Crown of Swords and I put it away. That's not saying I won't return, but everyone just keeps saying, keep reading, the ending is worth it. But there's 40 to 60 hours worth of reading, if not more, before the books get supposedly good. That's just not something I really want to do. Like, I could tell you guys about books I love, so why would I spend time reading a book I'm not thoroughly enjoying? Now, don't get me wrong, there's so many good things that Robert Jordan has done. That's why I've read 6.5 of his books. His world building and his plots is very interesting, but I just find I would have preferred some more time jumps and just fewer character POVs. But don't let me put you off the wheel of time. If it's something you want to check out, definitely go check into it. I'm just checking out for the time being. Now, going into my next read, exact opposite of Wheel of Time. Elric of Melniboné, a 3.5 out of 5 read for me. This was just short, fast, questing fantasy. It's classic, it's dark, and it's just boom, boom, boom. We just do the thing, do the thing, do the thing, do the thing. There's not too much just sitting in rooms thinking. It's just on to the next thing, on to the next thing. It's very, very simple, very classic, and I loved it. So this book was like 160 pages. There's like 4 editions in each of the books, and it's just a great way to break up the bigger reads that I've been doing. So if you just want something that's simple, classic, fast-paced, check it out. Just go on a quest. Don't worry too much about anything else. It's great. Then the next book I read was Child of the Night Guild by Andy Peliquin. And I ended up reading 4 books by Andy this month. I read the whole Queen of Thieves trilogy, and I also read a novella from the trilogy, The Brightest Star. So we'll group them all in and talk about them together. I gave them all a 4 out of 5, except The Brightest Star, I gave a 3.5 out of 5. So this is just short, fast-paced, grim, dark fantasy. It's action-packed. You're just going from event to event. You get one POV, you're in one city. So if you want grimdark, that's short, sharp, and shiny, this is the series for you. It's very dark, but it's also very fun if you can look past the darkness and the very gut-wrenching event that happens in there. So in the Queen of Thieves trilogy, in book 1, we get to see Viola go from 8 years old to 17 years old, and that is her time as an apprentice in the Thief Guild. So she ends up in the Thief Guild by being sold into it, as her father needs to pay off his debts, so he pays off his debts with his daughter. I know, what a horrible person, right? So we see her just get absolutely just demoralized for 9 years while she gets trained. There's a bully causing a ton of issues for her, and the story caps off with her performing a heist to show her worth to the guild to become a journeyman. We jump very quickly in the short book, as we do see in 9 years, so we just see the key events. So there's no fluff, there's nothing boring in these books, and they're just super addictive. In book 2, we see Viola pull off the biggest heist the Night Guild has ever seen, and that's another 7 years after book 1. But book 3 is right after book 2. It is Viola with the weight of the city, the weight of the guild on her shoulders, and she has to save everyone. There is another crime gang from another city trying to take over her city, and she has to look after everyone, and it's pretty cool. And it's basically like an episode of 24. There's just event after event after event. It happens over a very short amount of time, and it's just go, 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 go. Super good read. And the novella from the series, The Brightest Star, is just a quick novella to show us the backstory for one of the side characters in the series. Then I read Dune Messiah, another 3.5 out of 5, and I had a really good time there too. This was a good way to wrap up the events of Dune. It's set 12 years after. It's only 160 pages, and it's just kind of like an epilogue to Dune, just kind of showing you how things went for Paul after book 1 and where things ended up. And I'm very keen to finish out the trilogy next month and see what happens in Children of Dune. And it's always fun just to be in Frank Herbert's world. His writing's very interesting because we are jumping from head to head, from paragraph to paragraph, so we're getting everyone's POV at the same time, which is something that makes you have to pay attention and think, but can also be really enjoyable. Then, with all this serious, dark reading, I needed something light and fun to break it up. So I decided to start my Discworld journey and read Going Postal by Terry Pratchett. And this was a blast. It was fun, witty, whimsical, but it was still written in a way that you still had to think and use your brain and pay attention. And there's a lot of satire. The comedy was fantastic. And the more attention you paid, the more jokes you would pick up on. And it was a great break from the serious reading. You know, we get a criminal, Moist von Lipwig, who has been caught and now has been sent to get the postal service going again. The post office is run down. It is full of letters that have not been sent, and it hasn't really been going for the last 40 years. And now Moist must get this going and deal with the competition, which put the postal service out of business. This was a 4 out of 5, and I cannot wait to continue my Discworld journey with Guards just to get more of this fun. Then, going back to big, dense, epic fantasy, we finished off the month with Gardens of the Moon, book 1 of Malazan, Book of the Fallen by Stephen Erickson. And this was intense, but so enjoyable. I just posted a full-length review of this, but if you haven't read Malazan before, basically in Gardens of the Moon, we are on a continent separate from Malazan, but the Malazan Empire is trying to take over it, and we're in a specific city on this continent where the Malazan Empire is slowly trying to move its way there and take over the city, and we are meeting a lot of the players in this game. We have no main character, we are just following a lot of different characters on both sides of the conflict as the Malazan Empire is trying to grow, and there's certain people trying to stop that growth. So we don't really know where this is going, but we're seeing who's going to end up with control of the city by the end of the book. There's a lot of world building to get introduced to, there's a lot of characters that we get introduced to, but I had a blast. I did this read for guide and a podcast to make sure I was taking in as much information as I needed to, and I had a great time. It was a 4 out of 5 read for me. It's dark, epic fantasy on a huge scale, done in a way different to how I'd read it before, but the writing style, the characters, plot, all had me. So going to my book haul for the month, I got 3 new books, and then I moved some books from my parents' house up to my house so I could have them here and show them on my bookshelves because they're books that I need more people to see. So the 3 books I got were sent to me by Andy Peliquin. They were Child of the Night Guild, which I ended up loving. So I'm so thankful Andy sent me these books because I just found a new author that I love and a ton of new books I'm going to be reading. And Andy hasn't paid me to say any of this. This is just all things I've read and enjoyed. There was no commitment at all that we made. The other books he sent me was Darkblade. So this is his massive epic. This is his 9 books at the moment. That's going to be 15. And dark fantasy following an immortal assassin, which is that just sounds awesome. I'm super keen to dive into this one next. And the other series is The Silent Champions, Shields and Shadow. And this one is what I want to read next, but Andy did recommend reading Darkblade next, so I'll probably go there. But this looks really fun. There's 6 fast-paced books that is more just like the classic fantasy sort of warband that you're following around. That sounds more like John Gwynne and more like something I want to check out too. Then the books that I bought from my parents' house was the Painted Man books, the Demon Cycle series. And I just wanted to have them in the background of my videos because they're a series I loved growing up and had such a great experience reading that I just kind of want to talk about a bit more. So got them up here. So that was all the books I got this month. Now let's talk about what I'm going to be reading in the month of April. Well, the first book I'll be reading is Dead House Gates, Book 2 of Malazan, and I'm so keen to continue that read there as we go to another continent and discover a whole new part of the Empire. I'll be continuing my read of Elric of Melniboné. I'll go to Book 2 in the series, and this will just be a fun short read to break up the big serious Malazan books. I'll be starting my Sun Eater journey with Empire of Silence on the 1st of April. I'll be doing this one with my book club on Fable. It's completely free. Please come and join us. Check out this book with us. It's going to be a blast. Then at the moment, I've also been reading Dungeon Crawler Carl. So whenever I get a break from my Malazan and I need to start reading something so serious, I will go to Dungeon Crawler Carl and finish off book 1 there and maybe start book 2, as it's such a fun break from the big serious reads. Basically, Terry Pratchett meets dystopian sci-fi video game. Most of the population of the world has been killed, but the remaining population has been thrown into an 18-level dungeon. You can get access to video game features to try and survive the 18 levels. And it's just super goofy and it's really fun. If I get a chance, I will return to my read of the First Law trilogy, and I'll read The Last Argument of Kings. I really need to make sure I get back to that and finish that series. Hopefully I'll get a chance to read Children of Dune this month. I don't know if I'll have the space. If I do, that would be awesome. And then also there's a follow-up book that takes place after the Queen of Thieves trilogy that helps set up the events of Darkblade. So I could definitely be reading that next month as well. And that would be all for today. Thank you so much for watching this far. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and please tell me about the books that you have been reading. What's been your best read of March, and what do you plan to read in April? Have a great day.